Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Tasos Kilimos. Happy joining you guys for another edition of College Football Picks here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. Guys, Week 12 college football is here. I can't believe it, but we're almost over with the college football season. This is the second to last week of the college football regular season, so we're almost done. So, guys, enjoy it while we still can. It's going to go before you know it. It'll be bowl season and then college football playoffs, and then next thing you know, no college football for another year. So, guys, enjoy it while you can. Week 12, college football best bets. Let's dive right in. I guess really quickly we should recap last week. I went 3-3 last week, gave you 6 picks, kind of a rare occurrence where I gave you a couple extra picks. Went 3-3 overall, again, not bad. I'm 8-6 over my last 3 weeks, so we're doing pretty well. Not the best, we could be doing a little bit better, but not bad. We're 8-6. We're still profitable over the past 3 weeks, so let's carry that momentum and those positive vibes into today. And this is the first week, guys, I don't actually have any picks for the 12 p.m. slate. For the penultimate week of the regular season, it's kind of a weak week. Kind of weird play on words there, but it's not the best week for college football. Not a ton of great matchups. There are a few, though, but none of the 12 o'clock window. Not really any great games. So I don't have any picks for you guys in the 12 o'clock window, but when you click it over to the 2:30 window and on, I do have a couple of picks. And starting off, we have number 18 ranked Utah at number 21 ranked Arizona. And for my first pick, guys, I am going with the Arizona Wildcats money line here. And guys, you can shop around. At the time of recording, I have this at -112. I got that on DraftKings, which is my sportsbook that I typically prefer to use. Right now, the spread is -1, but at -108 odds, to me, take the money line, take the whatever, -112 to -108. You might as well just bet the money line just in case Arizona happens to win by a point. You don't get the push. So I'm going Arizona money line here for my first pick of the slate. And yeah, guys, look, if you've watched the show at all, you know I'm not the biggest Utah guy. I just haven't been on them all year. And it's not entirely their fault. They've had a lot of injuries on the offense. I've talked about that a lot in the past few weeks. You know, this Utah offense is really not all that good. And their defense has been the only thing that's kind of kept them alive in certain situations. But the more and more I've been watching Utah, the more and more I'm realizing they're kind of like the Miami Dolphins of college football. And what I mean by that is, like, when they play bad competition or competition below them talent-wise, the defense looks elite, and even their offense is serviceable. But the minute they start playing elite competition, top 25 ranked teams in particular, they just kind of look meh. They lost last week versus Washington, and they lost by 7. To be fair, it should have been more, and that was one of our picks last week, right? It was Washington -9.5. Unbelievable how that bet failed to hit because the kid dropped the ball just shy of the 1 yard line. They're just kids. They're just kids. They're just kids. They're just kids. But that game wasn't as close as it should have been. Washington, honestly, should have won by at least 14 points, if not more. Utah really didn't play that great of a game. And what's alarming here is that Utah's strength is their defense, and yet Washington scored 35 points on them. And even when you kick it back to a couple weeks earlier when they played Oregon, kind of the same story. They gave up 35 points to Oregon. The defensive numbers for Utah when they're playing elite competition. Now, to be fair, again, it's elite competition. What do you expect? You're not going to be able to shut out quarterbacks like Bo Nix or Michael Penix. But it is a very interesting trend to see that when they play, subpar competition, this team looks elite defensively and serviceable offensively. The minute they play a team equal or better than them, they just look completely flat. Also, Utah's strength, especially with Cam Rising being out, is the fact that they can run the football. Well, Arizona's run defense, pretty damn good. So I like the matchup here with Arizona. Arizona, they're ranked number 21, but they've quietly become one of the hottest teams in college football, and they're really on the rise. I also think there could be some fatigue setting in with Utah here. Again, all the injuries and stuff. They've so many key positions, so many key players. However, they also have had a really tough schedule in the last 4 weeks. They've had Oregon, they've had Washington, they've had USC. So a really tough string of games, and now to go right from those games into this Arizona game on the road. I like the spot for Arizona, so give me Arizona money line. And for the second pick today's slate, guys, we are going number 2 ranked Georgia at number 13 ranked Tennessee in the 3:30 slot. And guys, I am going here with Georgia -10. If you get it 9.5, even better, but I would bet it up to 10. Guys, right now it's at -10 on DraftKings. Guys, Georgia is turning the corner. They had a little bit of a slow start to the year, and to be fair, they're undefeated, right? To say they had a slow start is crazy. They haven't lost a game, but that win versus Ole Miss last week was huge, and they've had a nice string of wins. They beat Florida, they beat Missouri, they beat Ole Miss. Again, the Florida and Ole Miss wins, they blew them out of the water. Missouri was a little alarming, but Missouri, again, continued to prove that they are a really good football team. So beating Missouri by 9, knowing what we know about Missouri, not as bad as it looked a couple weeks ago. Offensively, Carson Beck is turning it up, and Brock Bowers is back and healthy. Their offense has been lighting it up. And look, you just can't get me to bet on Joe Milton after what I saw last week versus Missouri. Tennessee is still a great football team, don't get me wrong, but I do think that if you are Georgia in this spot, I just think Georgia's rolling right now. I think they're heading in the right direction. SEC championship right in the horizon for them. I just think that they are finding everything. Everything's starting to click. They're starting to look more and more like the Georgia Bulldogs we thought we were going to see this year. Defensively, still solid, but offensively, they are really coming alive. Against a Tennessee team that's starting to trend a little bit downward again, I just don't trust the quarterback play from Joe Milton, and I trust Carson Beck in this Georgia offense a lot more. So give me Georgia -10 or better. Again, if you get it at 9.5 or 9, kudos to you. I don't think so, though. It's starting to rise up. I wouldn't bet it past 10. If it's 10.5, 11, stick at -10. For our third pick, guys, we are sticking with the 3:30 slot. We have North Carolina at Clemson. I'm going North Carolina +7.5. I would bet this to +7. I got it at +7.5. Bet it to +7, guys. I am honestly backing the better offense here. Now, Clemson has been better of late, I will admit. They beat my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and they came right back and beat Georgia Tech. North Carolina, they're not in bad form necessarily, but they haven't really beaten anybody this year. They're not really, they just came off a throwing win versus Duke, but that would have been more impressive if, this was Duke from the first couple weeks of the season, right? I am really just backing the better offense here. I don't think Clemson's a great football team. They're 6-4 overall. Again, they've been playing better of late, yes, but overall in the season they've been very disappointing. I know they're home. They're in Death Valley, which is a little worrisome here. But honestly, these are two decent defenses. I would say Clemson's defense is a little bit better than North Carolina's. Offensively, Clemson just they kind of broke out last week, but I just don't really trust them. Versus with North Carolina, with Drake May, and they've developed this nice rushing attack here. All we need him to do is cover +7. So I just can't see this being a blowout. I don't think Clemson is good enough as a good enough team, to blow out North Carolina. I think offensively, North Carolina has just enough firepower to keep this game close. Drake May is the second best quarterback, maybe even the best quarterback in this draft class, and I think it was one of his final games in college. I think he's going to show out. For my fourth pick of the slate, guys, we have possibly the game of the week. Probably is the game of the week. We have Oregon State versus Washington. Oregon State is, of course, at home here. Pac-12 matchup. Isn't it kind of crazy, the fact that the Pac-12 is dissolving this year? This is the last year, and they have probably some of the best teams in college football. You've got Oregon, Washington, Oregon State, Utah, Arizona. Their conference is loaded right now. Kind of sad to see it go, honestly, and they're all going to split into different conferences, but it is kind of crazy. Pac-12, what could have been. And in terms of this game here, I'm going to ride the people's trend. And I don't like riding trends like this normally. I really don't. But I just love the matchup here. So give me Oregon State -1.5. The fact that Oregon State is a 1.5 point favorite against Washington is crazy. But Washington, I'll just be honest with you, their form of late hasn't been great. I know they keep winning, and they had a great season. They're undefeated. There's really not much you could say negatively about them. I mean, they just keep winning. They have that win versus Oregon in their back pocket. They've been solid all year. They had that win against Utah last week. I just think this is a great matchup for Oregon State. This is the second best rushing offense in college football. I think Washington's run defense is going to have a really rough time. Their run defense is not great. It was their run defense's lack of ability against Utah that kept Utah hanging around in that game there. And I think Oregon State's going to take advantage of that, guys. I really do. And the other thing too is defense in the secondary for Oregon State. I feel like Michael Penix could have had a field day, but there's not going to be the best weather for this game. Could be some wind, some rain and stuff, which could affect the passing game, which means you're going to have to lean into the running game. And I just don't think that's Washington's strength. When they can't have Michael Penix throw all over the place, their offense is not the best. I honestly just think Washington, they're going to get stung for their run of form. They just can't keep playing how they've been playing the last 3-4 weeks and expect to keep winning and getting away with it. They can't keep getting away with this, as Jesse Pinkman would say. I see Oregon State pulling the upset here. Would make for a very interesting Oregon State game next week. But I am going Oregon State. I'm backing the trend. I'm going Oregon State here, -1.5 at home. Last week I gave you 6 picks. Normally I was giving you 4 for the first however many weeks I was doing the show. But I'm going to give you 5 picks this week because there's one more pick that I really like here. And if you've been watching the show, I bet you're wondering, where's your pick in the Missouri game? Because I have been betting Missouri games every week, whether I bet on Missouri, against Missouri, on the total. For some reason, I just love betting Missouri games this season. They're a lot of fun to watch. Missouri and LSU are two of the most fun teams to watch this season. They're solid teams. They're good, not great teams. I love watching them play, so I do have a pick here for the Missouri-Florida game. And for this game, I am riding the over 57.5 points. Now look, it was a fun thing to bet Missouri overs for a while. However, the under has hit in Missouri's last 3 games. But on the flip side, Florida has covered the over in each of their last 5 games. These are 2 offenses that put up points, and although they both have decent defenses, neither of these defenses will be confused for a world-beating defense. And I think this total should be higher, except for the fact that Missouri has not been able to cover these higher totals. So I think odds makers are bringing it down a little bit because, again, Missouri has hit unders consistently now. But I don't care. I just see a lot of points. I know I got burned last week betting that Missouri over with Tennessee. I don't really care. I see another over hitting this week. I think Missouri will get back on track hitting it over. I think for Florida, the pattern will continue of them hitting overs in their game. So give me the over 57.5 here. I actually really love the quarterback matchup in this game too. Mertz versus Cook. This should be actually, considering that they're not like the highest ranked teams, should be a really fun game. But guys, that is it for me today. That's 5 picks I gave you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the Week 12 college football slate. I will be back here next week to give you more college football picks. Really fun week next week, rivalry week. Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon State, Oregon. A lot of great games next week, guys. Until then, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy Week 12 college football.